It is nonsense to say Rory McIlroy owes anything to the European Tour. Samuel Ryder did not envisage European competition for the trophy bearing his name. Despite Arnaud Massy, a Frenchman, winning the Open in 1907, there was never any suggestion that the USA would take on an entire continent at golf, when the Ryder Cup was in its formative stages. Ryder, the tournament's sponsor, did not entertain this, nor did the magazine Golf Illustrated, whose fundraising for an American rating party to challenge for the 1921 Open at St. Andrews built a momentum and appetite for an international team competition. Europe's involvement began in 1979, as a consequence of the United States winning 17 of the previous 18 editions against Great Britain and Ireland. Team Europe pretty much hijacked the Ryder Cup at that point, and it is a good job they did. A couple of cocktails parties, we kick their butts and go home, was Tom Kite's description of the pre-European Ryder Cup, and ferocious, proud competitors like Seve, Ballesteros and Bernhard changed that. Yet what the Ryder Cup has never really been about is the European Tour itself. That is an even newer sophistication. The idea that Rory McIlroy needs to show greater loyalty to the game on this side of the Atlantic, or risk forfeiting his place in the Ryder Cup team, is just nonsense. McIlroy has nothing to prove whatsoever. European golfers must be members of the European Tour, which seems reasonable, and the Tour rankings are the fairest way of picking the team. This makes selection a meritocracy and gives European tournaments greater meaning. Again, that is only right. Yet there the connection ends because, in essence, the Ryder Cup is European-born versus American-born. It is not a battle of the tours. If it were, nationality would not matter. The current leader of the European Tour's race to Dubai is David Lipsky. He is American. The 2019 rankings are in their infancy, obviously, and once the major players are more seriously involved and the tour is properly underway, it is unlikely he will remain there. Yet say he did, and this was Ryder Cup year. If it was just about the tour, Lipsky could be a candidate to play against his own country at Whistling Straits in 2020. He isn't. He couldn't be. Nor could Xander Schauffele, the American who finished fourth in the European rankings in 2018. Patrick Reed, the American who seems to get most from the Ryder Cup, was Europe's second-ranked golfer last year. One imagines he wouldn't be greatly open to changing allegiance, either. As far as the Ryder Cup goes, it's not where you're at, it's where you're from, and McIlroy is an Ulsterman who chooses to play, and live, in America because that is where the best, most lucrative and most challenging action is. Does that leave him disconnected from the European team? Not at all. McIlroy is often discussed as a huge influence, as is Sergio Garcia, and both men decided long ago that the greatest test of their talents could be found in America. Anyway, it is not as if the European Tour is tied to the continent, either. A look at the 2019 schedule, which begins on January 16, finds it actively avoids Europe until May 9 and before that can be found in Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Saudi Arabia, Australia, Mexico, Muscat, Qatar, Kenya, Malaysia, the United States, India, Morocco and China. It goes where the money is, yet gets huffy if Europe's golfers do the same. At the World Cup last summer, two countries, Sweden and Senegal, did not have a single player in their squad from the domestic league. Sweden won Germany's group and reached the quarter-finals. Croatia, with just two players from their domestic competition, Dominik Livakovic, the unused third-choice goalkeeper, and midfielder Filip Bradarić, who featured as a substitute for 25 minutes against Iceland, did even better, making the final. Nobody considered the other 21 players unsupportive of their nation or unpatriotic. Indeed, Croats appear rather proud of Luka Modric, the World Footballer of the Year, an accolade he certainly would not have won had he remained with his original club, Dinamo Zagreb. Modric left for Tottenham in 2008, and then Real Madrid, to test himself against the world's best, and it is the same for McIlroy. America's tour is the strongest and most competitive. The United States have 5 players in the world's top 6, and 13 in the top 20. Why should McIlroy be penalized for wanting to go up against them, in the country that also boasts 3 of golf's 4 majors? Everyone recognizes the significance of the PGA Tour. Between 1993 and 1999, Colin Montgomerie won the European Tour 7 straight seasons, but the fact he could not win so much as a tournament on the American circuit, until competing as a senior, will always count against him in the pantheon of golf's greats. Montgomerie was a fine player, but his legacy is devalued by choosing not to compete against Tiger Woods and the best of his day, week in, week out. That was never going to be true of McIlroy, and with 4 major wins already to his name, plus 10 on the PGA Tour, and 7 in Europe, he may yet return to the pinnacle. The criticism is unfair. McIlroy has already paid his dues in European golf. He has won in England, Ireland and Switzerland, plus points East. He has been the European Tour's poster boy and, since 2015, the financial savior of the Irish Open, which his foundation has sponsored in conjunction with Dubai Duty Free. Now, for the first half of 2019 at least, he has made his intentions clear. "I want to play against the strongest fields," he announced, "to continue to contend in the majors and to continue my journey back towards the top of the game." To that end, so far, he has only signed up for the Scottish Open and the European Masters, too short of the number of tournaments needed for European Tour membership. Keith Bailey, the chief executive, is trying to persuade him to commit further, and space in the calendar remains. McIlroy has spoken of considering his options again in August, so may acquiesce. If he does not, however, does this make him any less European? There is no question, as yet, that McIlroy will not commit to Europe's Ryder Cup effort. All he has rejected at this juncture is its business plan, and its value to a golfer of his immense caliber. Padraig Harrington, Europe's Ryder Cup captain, remains convinced McIlroy will do what is required to make the Ryder Cup team when the time comes, and there is no reason to doubt him. McIlroy is equally insistent. "Everyone has to look out for themselves," he added. "I'm looking out for me." As this very European Tour heads once again to Abu Dhabi next week, most would surely understand. Even if the money for Marco Arnautovic was right at £35 million, the timing for West Ham is all wrong. Selling the fans' favourite player in January, with the club 3 points off what might be a European place come the end of the season, is a guaranteed way to sour the mood at the London Stadium. Arnautovic is overrated, mostly by Arnautovic. He thinks he is a Champions League player, but his numbers do not back that up. There are 17 players ahead of him in the Premier League scorers table this season, including 3 at Liverpool, 2 at Manchester City, Tottenham, Manchester United and Everton, and even one, Felipe Anderson, at West Ham. Mark Hughes's staff at Stoke rated Arnautovic as one great game in 3, and while he has undoubtedly improved since then, he can still deteriorate into petulance, fading into anonymity save an explosion of arm-waving at the perceived failings of his teammates. At his best, he can be the difference. At his worst, he is high-maintenance, anonymous and disruptive. Every time he goes on a scoring run, there are rumors he wants to leave. Now he wants West Ham to sell him to an unnamed Chinese entity at a time that would be ruinous to their season, and to the board's fragile relationship with the fans. Without doubt, the presence of Arnautovic, along with the investment in Anderson and others, and the emergence of Declan Rice, has eased tensions at the club. West Ham are playing good football and improving under Manuel Pellegrini, and when this happens, the locals are no longer greatly enraged by separation from their favourite pie and mash shop. The London Stadium, like any other football ground, turns on results. And there is no better way to bring the bad vibes back than to start losing games having sold the best striker to China. Had the Arnautovic deal been offered in the summer, that would be different. A January sale, however, leaves little room for maneuver. West Ham's board might favour Callum Wilson, but there is minimal chance of extracting him from Bournemouth in January with Eddie Howe's team in free fall. It all smacks too familiarly of the Dimitri Payet fiasco in 2017 when West Ham insisted there would be no sale to Marseille only to cave in at the last, and let him leave for a cut price £25 million. Payet has created more chances than any other player in a major European league again this season. He is also wanted in China, and if he leaves, Marseille are expecting to make a profit on a midfielder who will be 32 in March. No wonder Arnautovic's advisors are refusing to take no for an answer. West Ham have rejected the bid for Arnautovic, but his brother Donigel still insists he wants out, talking of West Ham paying peanuts for his services. It was £20 million, a club record, rising to £25 million with add-ons, and of the player fulfilling West Ham's desire to keep them in the Premier League. Actually, he was signed in July 2017 in the hope that he could help them push for Europe. Perhaps by scoring more than 11 league goals last season. No doubt West Ham's directors fear another Payet saga. They should be warned against capitulation a second time, though. Not just for what it would do to the team, or for the message it would send to the rest of the Premier League regarding Rice, but for its impact on a tender truce. Peace has broken out in Stratford, albeit uneasily. Allow it to rain until the summer, at least. Manchester City 9 Burton Albion 0 was not a result that was good for football, but nor is it a portent. There will always be the odd mismatch in cup competition, but Premier League teams who rest players are often eliminated by spirited inferiors. It happened to Fulham and Leicester only last Sunday. And a year ago, do not forget, the Manchester City team who would go on to be the most emphatic champions of all time, could only defeat Bristol City in a League Cup semi-final 5-3 on aggregate, before being eliminated from the FA Cup by Wigan. Indeed, in home and away meetings last season, only Liverpool in the Champions League and Manchester United in the league scored more against Pep Guardiola's side than humble Bristol City. VAR takes long enough without the official having to consider every conceivable camera angle, including those provided by the affected club. Surely, Harry Kane's goal for Tottenham against Chelsea comes under the umbrella of benefit of the doubt to the attacking side. If a linesman could truly judge such a fine margin in real time accurately, he is wasted in football, and should be in the space program. And, from Chelsea's point of view, isn't all this a way of avoiding admitting that the world's most expensive goalkeeper, Kepa Arrizabalaga, made a reckless, woeful, decision and cost his team the game? Edu is in the frame to be Arsenal's new director of football, begging the question, just how many bosses do they need? There's Raoul Sanlai, head of football, Sven Mislintat, head of recruitment, plus Unai Emery, the manager. That's 3 chiefs and counting. And yet none of them fancy Darren Ramsey, a club with ambitions to win the Champions League. Juventus have snapped up on a 5-year free transfer deal starting next season. It now takes 3 men to lose the type of player Arsene Wenger could misplace all on his own.